Welcome to week 1 of Advent 2021. Thank you for joining me today. Today is the first Sunday of Advent and I just wanted to share with you a little devotional that I had come across, which is really encouraging and challenging, and I hope that it is the same for you. And I want to think just for a few minutes on the word faith and how faith and waiting go hand in hand. You know, it says in the Bible, in Psalms in the Old Testament, in Psalm 27, it says, "Wait for the Lord, be strong and courageous, wait for the Lord." And you know, if you listen to that, wait is in there twice. And then in Hebrews in the New Testament, it also says, "Now without faith it is impossible to please God, for the one who draws near to him must believe that he exists and reward those who seek him." So as I've said, faith and waiting go hand in hand. What's the longest you've ever had to wait for something? You know, at this time of the year, when I think back to my childhood, I can remember waiting for Christmas Eve. I can remember the excitement building, and I can remember going to bed on Christmas Eve and, you know, trying to close your eyes tight and sort of trying to will away the time, hoping that Christmas morning would come sooner rather than later, and that you would see what was under the Christmas tree for you. Maybe then sometimes you had to wait even to Christmas afternoon before you opened your presents. I know in our house my Nana always came to visit on Christmas evening, so sometimes it was even Christmas night before we opened our presents. So Christmas Day was a long time of waiting, but at the end of it there was good presents. But you know, waiting is very difficult. We expect everything to be at our fingertips just the moment we want it. And you know, the day that we live in today, the world that we're living in, that's almost possible. I mean, you send a message to someone just with a click of a button. You purchase your yarn with a click of a button. You purchase your Tesco shop, your grocery shop, and it's delivered right to your door. Everything is instantaneous. And you know, it's even getting worse. So it is, and your patience is waning, because I mean, if you order something and it doesn't arrive within 48 hours, you do start to get impatient, don't you? But you know, God finds ways of making us wait, and that's why waiting and faith go hand in hand. You know, maybe you're waiting for the longing of your firstborn. Maybe you're waiting to hold your first grandchild and give them a nurse. This pandemic has robbed so many people of the firsts that they've been able to do. They've missed out on birthday parties and celebrations and things, and maybe you're waiting for those to happen now that COVID is easing. Maybe you're waiting on getting the answer to an interview. You're maybe waiting on even getting your mortgage approved to have your first home. Maybe you're waiting for an appointment to get surgery that's going to leave your life so much better. There are so many things to wait on. And you know, as a Christian, maybe you're even waiting for God to just answer that prayer, for some sort of spiritual breakthrough to come through into a particular situation. In Hebrews in chapter 11, it reminds us that faith involves trust in God's promise, even if the promises of God are fulfilled long after we're gone. You know, we don't actually necessarily live to see the results of our waiting, and that is what is said here. These all died in faith without having received the promises, but you know, they saw them from a distance. God wants us to remain faithful in our waiting. And you know, first Advent Sunday, we're waiting for the festive season to begin, but Advent is about faith and waiting. What are you waiting for this year? You remember the years of silence as God's people waited for the Messiah? Why don't we take time just right now and reflect on the fact that God's timing is very different to ours? You know, the story of Jesus' birth gives me great comfort and assurance, because even though the waiting lingered for decades, God broke through just at the right time. I can't imagine what the people must have felt like waiting for the Messiah to arrive. But you know, I do know that God fulfilled the promise and Jesus was born and he did come to earth. You know, but maybe you're struggling with lack of faith at the moment, and you know, that's okay too. Really, God doesn't want an awful lot of faith to get his attention. I have lacked in my faith so much this year. I just can't even begin to put it into words how many times I just have not put my faith in situations in God. But you know, that tiny mustard seed is all God wants. And he even mentions it in Matthew. He says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will tell this mountain, move from here to here, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. You know, most of us try to grow a forest in a day. The saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day, but you plant a seed and you want a tree straight away. But you know, Jesus asks us and reminds us just to begin with that tiny seed. Take time, watch it grow, wait for it to become what we had hoped for. An entire nation waited centuries before Jesus arrived. Mary wasn't given a full-grown son. She had to wait till Jesus matured. The wise men from the east didn't see the Messiah just appearing on their front door. They had to walk for miles and miles to be able to meet him. You know, the question is, are we willing to plant faith and wait upon God? Nothing seems to be appearing on the horizon today, you know, but just wait. God always keeps his promises, even to those who have that little tiny bit of faith. Just wait. But you know, there's things we can do in the waiting period. We don't just have to sit here and wait for it to happen. Why don't we use this time of Advent and when we're meeting family or doing extra things that we don't normally do in other times of the year? Why don't we maybe share our faith with a family member? Why don't we maybe just encourage someone? It doesn't even have to be a family member. Encourage someone when you're out shopping, you know, lifting that thing off the floor. Just help someone. Give someone encouragement that you know is really weary at the moment, maybe going through a tough time. And you know, you can just sit down, or you can say, or you can send a text, and it just means all the difference to the person that receives it. But you know, while we're waiting and at this time of the year, I always think it's really nice to just evaluate. You know, just sit down and meditate on our relationship with God. You know, at the end of the year, we're always looking back, aren't we? And we're, you know, taking stock of what has happened, and we're sitting down and we're planning what we're going to do next year. But you know, just take the time, maybe just in the moment, not looking back, not looking forward, just taking the time right here and right now, just to evaluate our relationship with God. Or are you struggling with his silence? Or are you just fed up with the waiting? Let's evaluate the time. Let's use this time as well as preparation for Christmas and preparation for the arrival of Jesus, just to prepare our hearts to be able to be more willing to serve and have faith in our God. I just want to thank you so much for listening. I do hope you've enjoyed this first week of Advent. I have enjoyed chatting to you, and I will see you again next week. God bless, friends.